Hello, everyone, and greetings from Dawson. Thanks again. My name is Peter Tallman. I'm the president and CEO of Klondike Gold Corp. Hope everyone can see this. Some of what Jade just talked about, the evolution and timing of orogenic gold in Klondike, I'm actually not going to be speaking about that. Basically, it's an established fact now. I'll leave you with some homework as reference. Forward-looking statements. 2, documenting mineral resources. Next slide, please. So I'm going to leave you with a little homework. The structural evolution of orogenic gold mineralization is contained in these papers or resources, so please have a look. Next slide, please. Forward-looking statements. I'm going to be making some. I'm looking at conceptual open pits, and that's what the objective of 2020 is to document resources that may be easily extracted. Next slide, please. So Klondike Gold is a gold exploration company. We're in Canada, in YUKON. I'm sitting in Dawson. It's a beautiful day here, and our property is 20 kilometers outside of Dawson. Paved road partially, gravel road, and it has fantastic infrastructure. Next slide, please. And this is what fantastic infrastructure really looks like. It's a huge economic advantage to Klondike Gold. So upper left photo is the photo of Dawson itself, and that's part of the Klondike Highway. On the right is the Klondike River. As you turn the corner in the middle slide, I'm sitting in middle upper. I'm sitting under the T in Turnoff about now in what you could notionally call the suburb of Dawson. And on the right-hand side, right upper, is the end of the paved road at kilometer 7 on the Bonanza Road. And really from Dawson in the upper area, you can see Lone Star Zone and Standard Zone from Dawson. We're on cell service. That's where the story of the drillers ordering pizza delivered from Dawson to the drill comes from. Bottom right, there's a photo of the drill on the Standard Zone with a truck beside it. So we have fantastic access. We're on the Klondike Highway. We have an airport right beside us. There's heavy equipment, excavators, mining knowledge here. They're currently mining gravel still. The placer industry is alive and well. Next slide, please. So that Dawson is within the Tintina Gold Belt. Again, it's a world-class, prolific gold mineralized area. I'm really not going to talk too much about that, except to point out the structural evolution of the Tintina. It hosts orogenic gold mineralization that basically is introduced into the Tintina on 2 sets of faults that effectively crisscross and form a checkerboard pattern. And you'll see the checkerboard throughout this presentation as we move from the vast, the very wide Tintina gold belt scale right down to the individual showings. And that really is the explanation from a science point of view. We've done 5 years of exploration to prove that all of this mineralization in the Klondike is exactly like everything else in Tintina, and there is world-class potential here. Next, please. So it's taken me a couple of years, 3 or 4 years, to provide or to acquire the entirety of what would be known as the old Klondike Gold Rush District. Klondike currently owns 600 square kilometers of ground, covers all the Gold Rush creeks, which are shown in kind of a goldy color map. Our claims are bluish. From within that area, there's been 20 million ounces of gold recovered from the creeks since 1896. They're recovering gold now to the tune of about between 20 and 30,000 ounces a year here. It is in its own right a world-class endowment, and until now the gold has always been, the source of the gold from bedrock has been unknown. Next slide, please. So focusing on a small portion of our property, basically this is a summary of the structural system. There's older faults, and they've been cut. Those are purple and red, and they're cut by younger faults, which are yellow. The yellow faults introduced and pumped gold mineralization into the older ones, and both sets are gold bearing. I'm going to focus, in particular from this slide, the Lone Star slide, our Lone Star Zone and the Standard Zone. are what I'm going to show you next. And this is in the upper left, the small inset map. There's a red or yellow box, and that shows you the area of the main map. It's a tiny fraction of our total claim position. On the main map itself, it hosts multi-million ounce gold potential at surface. And this is borne the brunt of our exploration efforts in the last 5 years. What we see here are two faults, the Bonanza Fault, which hosts the Lone Star Zone, the Stander Zone, which is controlled by the Nugget Fault. Mineralization on both documented in outcrop and drill hole over at least 5 kilometers in both of them. We know that both of these structures continue for at least double the length in terms of what's shown on the map. We think there's enormous potential just staying within this map for our objective to find 2 million ounces as a threshold. Because I have said this previously, I want to wait until I get 2 million ounces to get a resource estimate. What we're looking at now is trying to transition from just pure and finding gold and documenting that it actually exists in the Klondike, and here is the source for Bonanza and Eldorado Creek, to looking at turning rocks into money by conceptually looking at starter open pits. So next slide, please. And this is a detail of the Stander Zone. Basically, we're going to go drill it, infill. It's on the western end of the Lone Star. Sorry, this is the Lone Star Zone, western end. What you're looking at is our LiDAR image. So it's centimeter scale topographic resolution. What we think is that this can be an easy starter pit and contain between 50 and 75,000 ounces of gold, all at surface mineralization. And some of the assumptions are on the right, the model target parameters. But we think this is a great place to start for a starter resource. Next slide, please. That's what this conceptually looks like in geometry. We need to do the technical drilling to confirm the grades, the continuity and mineralization. We also suspect that there are individual ore chutes, so higher grade things that are coming through, and we want to document those. We're also drilling in a different angle because we think that basically from a geotechnical point of view, that's going to be valuable as well. Next slide, please. And again, we're going to do the rinse and repeat. So this is the Stander Zone. It's the same structure, just a kilometer away down the hill. On this, of note, you can see the Nugget Fault. That's the main northwest-southeast structure, kind of looping in from the upper left. The curve in that fault is due to topography. Basically, all the mineralization for the Nugget Fault sits in its footwall, and all the gold mineralization is flat. So at Nugget, we see 3 different stacked zones of mineralization. We're only drilling the first one. It also outcrops at surface and sits within 20 or 25 meters of it. And there's, again, we're targeting between 50 and 75,000 ounces within that 150 meter length. We also see the Nugget Fault finally offset. Again, referencing that checkerboard thing. We think we know where the Nugget Fault offset is down on the bottom right, and we're out actually exploring today and digging that up. And there'll be results coming soon. Next slide, please. Finally, there's a five-year price chart. This is always kind of fun. I was trying to get away from this, but basically embracing the reality. We double or triple or quadruple every year as we go through this. What I'm trying to do this year is get us re-rated by establishing at least the beginning of a resource inventory. And another funky thing is we have a drill cost of $468 a meter, and that's for every single dollar we've raised since I took over. That covers corporate, lawyer, overhead, absolutely everything, including the $2.5 million of corporate cleanup. That's a great, it's an excellent value for shareholders' money. We have a fantastic shareholder base, currently 120 million shares issued, $1.8 million cash on hand in the upper right, and in the bottom right, the 2020 budget is set at $500,000 so far. Basically, it was not assigned more or less because of COVID and the idea that we may or may not be allowed to work in Yukon, but those years of that have receded. So in summary, we have multi-million ounce gold potential. Resource estimation drilling starts now. I hope to get a valuation re-rate from that. We're the first mover in Yukon 2020. I'm told we're the only company that signed exploration company that signed a drill contract, and we'll be delivering news into an accelerating gold market, as Jay just said. Thank you very much.